Hey viewers, real quick, click the top link in the video description to join my mailing list. I'll have merch and a book coming out soon, so join the mailing list and I can send you updates on those things. Thank you.
I said, what would you define as spaceless, timeless, and immaterial?
I would define something that doesn't even exist as being those things.
Exactly. So if I have the scientific evidence of something being spaceless, timeless, and immaterial beyond a certain point, then that's nothing. So are you saying that it was nothing before the Big Bang, or was it God?
You can't have evidence of nothing.
Yeah, I think nothing's impossible. Right? To have nothing is impossible. So why was there no space-time?
You just said you have evidence of nothing.
No. I have evidence of something before space-time emerged, and I'm saying nothing is impossible.
You don't.
Why not?
Because that would be a completely different realm, and you don't have access to it.
So you don't think there's evidence that space-time began?
That's not the question. That's a complete non sequitur.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying space-time began.
No, you're not.
I'm making a claim. Space-time began.
You're claiming to have evidence from a realm that is outside of this universe. That's what you're actually doing.
So what were the particles that made the singularity held in, if not space-time?
Nobody, especially you, knows.
Maybe there's a reason why nobody knows. Don't you think?
Go on.
Don't you think there's a reason that nobody knows what's spaceless, timeless? I mean, you just said it was nothing when I said immaterial. So
go on.
I'm saying the metaphysically necessary state is a conscious state. It ties in the abstract realm, the physical realm. It's the source of all of those things. You can't get the abstract realm from the physical. You can't get the physical from the abstract. So the conscious state is what ties in everything. So that's the necessary state, a conscious state. Is it spaceless, timeless, immaterial? Spaceless, timeless, immaterial. What other state would it be?
Provide evidence.
A verbatim quote from Dr. Hugh Ross saying that he has theorems that space, time, matter, and energy began when he did his research.
Provide evidence.
So you're just not going to accept that? Space and time began?
Provide evidence. That's not your claim. Provide evidence.
What is my claim?
You're claiming that something spaceless, timeless, and immaterial precedes the universe. Provide evidence.
Because everything that begins needs a cause in all my observations.
That's
Nothing
an argument. Without a cause. Provide evidence.
100 times out of 100 in all observations, anything that begins needs a cause. That is evidence.
Provide evidence.
That is evidence. I gave you 100 times out of 100 empirically. Everything that begins
Which 100? Name them.
I don't know, the planet, the Earth needed a cause, right? The planet Earth needed a cause.
I don't know.
It began to exist, so it would need a cause.
Needed a cause. Cool. Provide evidence.
Provide evidence. What, the universe, space-time began?
That's not your claim.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying anything that begins needs a cause, so space-time needs a cause.
Provide
evidence. It needs something not contingent on space-time, because space-time didn't exist.
This is an argument. Provide evidence.
I think I've given you empirical evidence that 100 times out of 100, anything that begins, and you admit that
you have
space-time began.
Do you just not know what evidence is?
I think that is evidence.
Okay, Pruck, ready? Here's an argument. The first or second law, whatever, of the law of conservation of matter and energy states that nothing is created or destroyed. Therefore, the universe was not created. There.
Okay, sure, but we can see that space-time began.
So nothing created the universe.
But what if I show you a controversial opinion from a scientist? If you want to appeal to scientists, I have controversial opinions from other scientists.
You can provide
yes, I can provide
an argument that says something that says something else, and unless we have evidence, there's no reason to go with one or the other.
I
So
believe in that
provide
law.
evidence.
I believe in that law, but do you believe the singularity existed forever?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay, but these are things that are important, aren't they? I mean, where do you, why do
Cool.
you think
Lots of things are
expansion?
important. The economy is important. I don't know how it works, and I don't care.
But isn't my rationale that the metaphysically necessary state is both not being in space and time because we
I
literally
don't
see it emerge?
care.
Isn't that a
Provide
fair
evidence.
inductive reasoning? Isn't that fair inductive reasoning?
Sure, provide evidence.
I think that's fair inductive reasoning based on astrophysical evidence.
Do you have any evidence? That's not your argument. Your argument is that a spaceless, timeless, immaterial thing caused the universe to begin existing.
Okay, so
I
if
can argue that
space-time
we have nothing other than. So what we know is that
began,
we have no evidence of anything ever being created. We just have a universe that exists. So I could argue that it's not created, but it's just an art. Well, I would say
you
mine
can
actually
argue
is
that.
based on evidence, but yours really isn't.
It is because my evidence is showing that space-time began. You're trying to say that it was eternal, and what I'm telling you is what were the
Never
particles
claimed
held
that.
in
Literally never
before
claimed
the
that.
singularity? What were the particles held in?
Literally never, ever, ever claimed that. You're making a claim about something other than the universe existing and causing the universe to exist. I'm asking for evidence.
Sure, and I'm asking for the evidence that space-time is eternal. I'm asking for that evidence
I
at this
never
point.
claimed that it is.
Okay, so if it's not eternal, it began, correct?
So, Pruck, here's the deal.
No, but
You
it's simple.
have a
It's so
position.
simple, man. And you're trying to patronize it because it's simple.
You have a position, and what you're trying to do is trying to say, look, my argument, by my I mean your argument, is bolstered, becomes more likely when I try to ask you to provide evidence of something else and you can't do it. That's not how it works. Absence of evidence
I've
for some
provided you
sort of
evidence.
contrary claim is not positive evidence of your claim. So don't talk about what you think I believe because you're completely wrong about all of it. Instead, persuade us through evidence that anybody should believe the claim you're making.
Okay, then disregard the claim I made, and this is the claim I make. Space-time began around 14 billion years ago. Can you agree on that?
Yeah, I never argued against that.
Okay, so it's just the basic kalam then. Anything that begins to exist demands a cause. Can you agree with that?
Arguments aren't evidence. I already know what your argument is. So
I'm
stop
sure you do.
rehashing your argument. That's not evidence. Provide evidence. But also, one of your premises
So
in
I
the,
can't live
in the
in
kalam is
reality. I need to
also not
empirically prove
substantiated.
everything. So I need to empirically prove something before it's legitimate. That's what you're saying?
How many things that there are zero evidence for do you believe in?
Quite a bit. Relationships with my family, how I live
You
my
have
life
evidence of
sometimes.
that. You experience that yourself.
Sure. No, yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely. And my
So,
evidence is, and all my
could you
experiences,
give
that
me
anything
a
that
single
begins is a
example of
cause.
something that you have zero evidence for that you believe and why? Well, you're not going to be able to do that. Let's do this instead. Why should anybody believe something that there's zero evidence for?
Because of basic inductive reasoning based on actual science. And the actual science is space-time began to exist. So there's
Everybody
basic
named Pruck is
inductive
wrong.
reasoning.
Your
You
name
can
is
do
Pruck.
that.
Therefore, you are wrong. That's inductive reasoning.
That's not that. Okay, mine is based on science. I mean, I guess you missed
It's
that.
not.
Space-time began. Okay. Now
Yeah,
my inductive reasoning.
that's an observation we make. Yep.
And then another scientific claim is that 100 times out of 100, anything that begins to exist demands a cause. Cause and effect. Okay. So that means that space
Cause and
and
effect
time
happens.
demands a cause. It's that simple, and it's not
Yep.
contingent on
Now
space
that's
and
an
time.
argument. Now
It did
produce
not
evidence.
exist before it was caused. It's not contingent. So it's spaceless, timeless. Is that fair?
Yeah. Produce evidence.
I think that's fair, man. And I think this is telling, bro. I think
Yeah.
this is telling.
I know that that's the argument.
It's a fair inductive
Produce
argument
evidence.
based on
An
actual
argument
science.
is not evident. You're either trolling or you're a robot that's
I'm
been
not.
programmed to not understand
No,
things.
you want an empirical proof of things, which is absolutely ludicrous. When you can use inductive reasoning for things, you don't need to empirically prove anything. I
I
can't
can
even
use
prove you're a
inductive
human.
reasoning. I can use inductive reasoning to come up with the opposite argument you're making. And then what? Now I'm right? Is
Okay,
it the
then do
person
it.
who
Then
spoke
do it. You
last
can
who
do
is
it.
who is
You
correct?
cannot
Is
do it.
that
That
how it
isn't my
works?
argument. As far as inductive goes, deductively, yes, you have the upper hand, and that's what you guys do. You guys use a deductive reasoning with theists, even though we use inductive reasoning because that's what we can use, and that's all I'm saying. So can the people in the comments understand that inductive reasoning is a fair way to get to some conclusions?
Name
And this
one
is
thing that's ever been witnessed to have been created. Name
witnessed
one
to have
thing that's
been
ever been
created.
created.
I don't know, like a rock formation or something that we can witness in real
Nope.
time or
Rock
something.
formations are formed out of particles that already existed. Name one thing that's ever been created.
Yeah, you can't out of thin air, no. It'd have to use other source material.
Yeah, great.
Material.
So nothing has ever been created. The universe exists, but nothing is created. Therefore, the universe is
Yeah,
uncreated. Yeah,
yeah.
great.
Nothing
Okay,
is
so I guess
created.
I
It
inductively, I
came to
guess
you.
we've proved that we don't need a spaceless, timeless, immaterial being.
So, do
Cool.
you think the singularity is eternal? That's my
I don't
question.
have
That's
an
what I-
opinion on it.
So then, how can you even make these arguments when I probe into it and you can't have an opinion when it gets to the important part?
Why is that the important part?
I mean, I feel like that's the most important. That's the crux of the issue.
Whether
If
or
we're talking about
not the
origin,
singularity is eternal?
yeah, if we're talking about origin, that's the crux of the issue, right? So that's literally the heart of the argument, the
In what
singularity. So
way?
do you believe the
We don't
singularity is
even know
eternal?
if it was a singularity.
Sure. Do you think the size of the universe being really, really small was eternal?
The universe has always been in the universe. This so there's no such thing as the size of the universe. The universe is everything that exists.
Sure, but can you admit the area of space and time was a lot more condensed a long time ago? I'm saying it's singularity.
Matter
You're
was more
saying
compressed, but that
small
doesn't mean
area.
that the universe is anything other than everything that exists.
Sure, and then at some point it started to expand. Space and time started to expand. But all of that
Yeah.
matter existed in that area.
Yep.
And so all of that matter existed in that one area forever.
One area. I have no idea what that means.
All of that matter that eventually expanded at some point existed forever.
I
In the
have no
form.
idea. Nobody does.
Okay, and then I guess another question is the fine-tuning argument. I understand you don't like it, we talked about it, but that singularity we're talking about has produced a universe in which it is fine-tuned. So it could have been any other way, but the singularity we're talking about has produced the result of it, the effect of it is a fine-tuned universe.
Therefore,
This
what?
this whole process.
Saying we live in a fine-tuned universe may be no different than saying this is a toy giraffe. It's an observation.
Yeah.
Therefore, what?
To be precise and allowing for conscious movement.
Cool. So you restated the claim in different terms. Therefore, what?
Therefore, God is a very personal, explosively creative being that created the
Where did you
cosmos
leap
for
to
humans to
God?
live in.
Where did we make that leap?
That's the crux of my whole argument. That's where I start. That's my presuppositions.
What evidence do you have of it?
I think space-time, I think the conscious, immaterial, spaceless, timeless state is the best explanation.
What evidence do you have of it?
Inductive reasoning and scientific evidence.
I didn't ask you for an argument. I asked you for evidence.
And I gave you scientific evidence. It can only take you so far, and then you have to use either deductive or inductive reasoning. There is same with macroevolution, for example. Microevolution we observe. I believe in evolution, but macroevolution we have to use reasoning, deductive.
No, what we do is we look for evidence. You make an argument for it, and then you go and look for evidence, and the evidence of it is like enormous. We have nothing but evidence
I think
of
the evidence for
macroevolution.
space-time beginning, I think the evidence of the logic behind that is enormous, but it's hard to grasp, grapple with. We're talking about a lot of time. We're talking about billions of years, but just understanding that space-time began is very crucial. That's crucial
Do you
because it's
understand
not
it?
contingent on what came before, right? Space-time was not contingent. It was not existent.
How do you know that?
Because I can cite so many astrophysicists that hold to that based on the science. You can make your speculations and your inferences that are
They're
less
making
founded than my
speculations.
inferences. They're less founded than my inferences. But I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. It's a good
That's
conversation.
what I would do if I were you too.
I mean, I just don't want to hold your feet to the fire too much longer, man. And
You haven't
so I'll leave it
produced
at that.
any evidence.
I mean, it's on my page. Can feel free to go to my page. The scientists who I'm talking about are on there. So
So let me hold on.
astrophysicists.
Just real quick. I
I
think
didn't
I
make
can
this up.
summarize. I think I can summarize your argument. Premise one. Premise two. Therefore, is that
I'm just
about
saying it's
what
spaceless,
it is?
timeless. Spaceless, timeless, not contingent on the universe that created the universe. So you can think it's essentially nothing or an entity capable of causing the Big Bang. There you go. It's that
So
easy, man.
so
It's that easy.
and therefore.
No, it's just you're obfuscating, bro. It's funny, man.
Do you know what
But
obfuscate means?
yeah, I do.
What does it mean?
It means that you're trying to get out of this argument
That is
by.
not what obfuscate means at all.
Okay, then enlighten me.
To obfuscate means to like be deliberately confusing.